Oh, here he is.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. About 11:30. We already about 11:30. Yeah. He can come later. He may be on this 60 meeting. I need to ask him. He may be on this. How are you? Thanks. Appreciate your comments. Yeah, well, most of us are. Yeah, most of us are too. I love control. That's my team. Hey, on this bill.
Just coming. I must be back.
Excuse me, if you were here for finance and taxation and education, could you please take your seat? We're about to get started.
All right, take a seat. Let's get rolling. We're running behind time, so let's get moving. We got 4 bills, and then we're going to have a quick presentation from the cyber school. I had a couple questions about it, and I asked the head guy, since he was in town, Mr. Massey, to explain about cyber school. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Senator Albritton, Senator Butler, Senator Chastain, Senator Figures, Senator Gavan, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Melson, Senator Roberts, Senator Sessions, Senator Singleton, Senator Smitherman, Senator Wagner, Senator Allen, Senator Orr.
I kind of missed that because you went to Wagner and went back to A. And I said, wait, somewhere. I thought I come with him.
All right. Clerk, call the first bill.
Senate Bill 175 by Senator Kitchens.
Okay, Senator Kitchens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill was something we actually worked on last year, passed the House, and actually got out of committee in the Senate, but failed on the last day. This was brought to us. We have an industry in Marshall County, and what it does is aircraft come in, as they're getting ready to be processed to another carrier. So these leasing companies that own the aircraft, they'll bring them in, they'll retrofit them, they come out. There's a facility in Birmingham at the Birmingham Airport. Very few of these facilities exist around, but there's a loophole in the law right now. So right now, they do not qualify for the same tax exemption. So the only people that qualify for the tax exemptions in the state are someone who fully manufactures and delivers that aircraft in the state. So we've worked with those, and we've also worked with these MROs to make sure that we try to level the playing field. It's really created what they call a flyover state. So what's happening right now, Delta, Southwest, a lot of these different airlines, they're actually flying their planes to other states, Mississippi being the closest one, where they can take advantage of their tax structure and be able to move forward.
Any questions? We've kind of heard about this bill. Senator Smitherman?
I want to say first that last year you did a good job on this bill.
Well, thank you, sir.
This year I had a little wondering. And the wonder is because you sit right in front of me. We talk all the time. You didn't tell me nothing about this bill after we got it in.
Well,
you and I were hip to hip because we got the same situation. I got it in Birmingham and you do too. So I just want to tell you that, what I said in another committee. I'm like that man on the other side of the Lord Jesus when he said, remember me. So remember me, okay?
I've got you, sir.
And I move for.
All right, Senator Smitherman's move. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Senator Hatcher. Any other discussion? Quick question, Senator Melson. Undetermined. He rang the bell with that one.
Let me specify, and I believe that it does bring up a good point. They're currently not able to do this in the state of Alabama. They are, but they're not taking advantage of this because they're flying it to these other states where they can take advantage of the tax exemptions. So a lot of this work is not being done in the state of Alabama right now. So, in my view of it, it's really a tax exemption that's really not costing the budgets anything because we're not
getting it today
to begin with right now.
So there is a sunset, as you saw, 5 years, so which we can revisit because we'll have a better fiscal note. Any other discussion? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton? Senator Butler? Senator Chastain? Senator Figures? Senator Gavan? Senator Hatcher? Senator Hovey? Senator Kelly? Senator Melson? Senator Roberts? Senator Sessions? Senator Singleton? Senator Smitherman? Senator Wagner? Senator Allen? Senator Orr.
All right, 16 ayes, 0 nays. The bill's given favorable report. Thank
you, Mr.
Senator.
Chairman and committee.
Started to call you representative. I'm sorry, Senator Kitchens. All right. Hard. My mind stays a couple years behind time. All right, clerk, call the next bill, please.
Senate Bill 195 by Senator Orr.
All right, Ms. Scott, are you in the House? Come forward, please. This is at the request of Ms. Scott.
Who is she?
I don't know.
Oh, you said her request. They're powerful.
The RSA, yeah.
Put us at a bed.
Well, it's the people she works for, so it's seems like good policy. Would you explain the bill to the committee for the 5 years on contracts?
Yes, sir. We are currently in the process, PHIP is, of bidding out its MAPDP program, and that is the Medicare Advantage Prescription Drug Plan. And in getting the RFP ready, our consultants had told us that we could get better rates from vendors if we had a longer contract. Currently, the law requires that we rebid our contracts every 3 years. And that's worked, and that's good practice with most of our other contracts, and we get competitive rates. But the MAPDP is a little bit unique in the fact that the vendors use our risk scores to draw down federal funding. And so they have a better ability to do that over a longer period of time. And that if we were able to ask for rates for a 5-year contract, and we're also going to ask for a 3-year contract, we can get some better rates over a 5-year period.
All right, Senator Gavan has moved favorable. Is there a second? Second, Senator Hatcher. Senator Smitherman.
Thank you. Look, is this same program, will it affect state employees? I mean, about the rates and about what you're saying about the 5 years to the 3 years versus bidding. Does the bidding aspect of this and the rate aspect, I know you all handle insurance for state employees too. So PHIP, you said PHIP, didn't you?
Just public education employees. State employees is the
But don't PHIP handle everybody?
No, sir. State employees is under the State Employees Insurance Board, which is a separate entity.
A separate entity? And this is for the teachers?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I guess what I'm saying is that won't this deny you all an opportunity to revisit, to allow another carrier to come in and maybe make a better bid and a lower rate and the premiums? And I'll give you a good example, and I won't call another company's name, but I'm going to call one. You know, you get to, and I don't know if you all like that, but it's just like state employees. They rock all the years of their life working with Blue Cross. And then at the end, when they go retire, they got to go to somebody else. They can't even go there, you know, because of they just bid at a lower amount. I don't know necessarily if they giving the equal services, but just because they be at a local amount, then now all retired employees got to go over here, and that's the only option that they have over here. That is my concern with you all. You heard what I just said.
Yes, sir.
Is that there's not going to be an opportunity for a bid to come in so that in that scenario, those people can make a lower bid to give a better quality of service. So if there any mechanism in place that's going to be able to modify or review the services that the people you now give in 5 years that you would have been able to review after 3.
Yes, sir. And we look at these contracts even when it's not time to bid, and there have been times when we have we've bid it earlier because we believed we could get a better deal. We did that with our PBM contract. And we are not committing to only doing 5-year contracts. We want to be able to ask for, what would your rates be for a 3-year contract? What would your rates be for a 3-year contract with 2 1-year renewals? And then we'll be constantly looking at this.
When we came up with the bill, may I be recognized, Chairman? When we came up with the bill, naturally that wasn't brought out. And now that I hear what you were saying about that, I think that provision is pretty good, where you can set it up. We review after 1, 2 years, and an understanding in the contract. I think you're just asking us, though, if it's one of them great contracts, we want it for 5.
Yes, sir.
And if it's not, then you can put those provisions in there, negotiate those provisions in there. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Albritton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick observation. This continually comes up in contract review, which has a 2-year restriction. So I don't know if this is going to supersede that or not, or how we're going to deal with that, but just everybody's coming in. This is a constant, as you know, along that line. So something we probably need to address at another forum.
Thank you for that insight. Any other comments? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any objection to the previous roll? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Ms. Scott. Bill's given a favorable report, 16 ayes, 0 nays. Clerk, call the next bill.
Senate Bill 196 by Senator Orr.
Well, as they used to say on college football day, whoa, Nelly. I filed this bill yesterday, and the education family, I'm surprised that 3-year-olds out there, their representatives in the hallways didn't come knocking on my door, because I heard from K-12, junior colleges, and higher ed. Everybody's in a tizzy about this. So let me tell you the premise behind the bill. Georgia does this, so it's not like, Arthur, what have you dreamed up? So this is based on Georgia law. It's been in place, I think, 10 years now, maybe longer. So the concept is this. If a child is in school, 11th or 12th grade, and they are not, they're ready to go ahead and get out of high school. They're ready to leave and move on. They're not dual enrollment only. Dual enrollment's what I would say lesser than this, but obviously a first step towards college, going the dual enrollment track. If they're ready to leave football or band or whatever, and go ahead and proceed to college, this would be the vehicle through which they do it. It would be, in my opinion, and the junior college president that I worked with on this bill, a very small number of children probably wanting to move on, but they would proceed on to junior college. Their credits would revert back to give them credit in high school for math or science or whatever they needed back in high school, similar to dual enrollment. And then when they graduate, if they go in the 11th grade and they do enough credits and do 2 years in the junior college, they should have enough to graduate from high school and junior college at the same time. If they leave in the senior year, obviously they wouldn't have enough to graduate from junior college, but they could graduate from high school. But get on with the premises. Get on with your life. Why do we, why do we make children, if they're ready to move and they've got the academic capability to move on and go to a higher level, why do we say, well, you got to stay? You got to sit in that seat till you're a high school graduate. Now they can, like we talked about, do the dual enrollment track, which is kind of part way. Well, this is all the way. So with that being said, Mr. Albrecht, Senator Smitherman over here had his finger up first.
Thank you. My concern is that how is this student gonna learn high school when they go into college unless that college, these junior colleges have to retrofit their programs to be able to provide the necessary services for a kid that needs some tutorial or the basics about, because here's a kid that may have, I put it this way, I know kids who are smart in math, who are smart in other things, but they having some problems with English and the predicates and all of that. And so this can even fit smart students, the question I'm saying. How is that student going there and not being in the high school going to get the services that they need there, and they are not there? Because junior colleges are basically, most of them are not set up to be high schools.
Right.
And so that's the ultimate concern that I see there. You know, if I realize what you're trying to do, and I've actually, back in the day, they used to do a modified version of this. The Shelby County school system would have classes from 8 until like 12. They would put those kids on a bus and bus them to Columbiana to the vocational school, high school students, and they would take those courses. Because my sister actually graduated with a certificate in secretarial and high school the same time, because she was going to both. So I understand, but how are we going to do that? And is this going to cost us some additional money to get it ready to do this, when you know what I'm going to say, when that money needs to be strictly in K through 12? So can you answer those questions for me?
Well, you know, you see the broad rulemaking authority that's in the bill that would say that the details would be worked out with the state school board and with the, in this case, the chancellor. Now, I've heard, as I said earlier, from the higher ed friends, and they're all, whoa, you know, we want some of those freshmen and sophomores too. I'm sure I hadn't met with them yet, but I wanted to bring this before the committee. Again, it's a bill of first impression in that for this group. I think I filed it in 2018, 19, something similar. This is a vastly stripped down bill. That was much longer. But I wanted to hear from the committee. And I wanted to hear your concerns and share, because I know some of these people have been walking up down the halls with their hair on fire and visiting with you all, and I wanted to hear what you had to say. So thank you for that. Senator Albritton.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Chair. I support this. I want to tell you why I support it. I've got family that lives in Kentucky, and they've given me several grandchildren. And of those, I've had a couple that's taken advantage of this in Kentucky, exactly this program. Further along that line that Kentucky seems to do better than us'ns is I've had a couple of grandchildren that graduated from high school with a 2-year degree simultaneously and started college as a junior and only have 2 years of college, and that was transferred to other states. They didn't go to school in Kentucky. One of them's down here. So my point that I want to suggest is that this is I think is a good plan. It's something that I think Alabama needs to participate in, and my whole experience has been very positive along this line.
I would say to Senator Smitherman, your other question about the young man or woman who needed services or didn't get it's the colleges have to accept the student. So it's potential, you know, in this, it's fairly easy to get into junior college, but this is not the usual admission way of being a high school graduate. Now I'm applying to junior colleges. Does the bill need amending? Yes. And I'm certainly open to that. And I've told the education people we'll sit down and see if we can work through the concerns. Senator Singleton? Yes.
When he gets through, I would.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I guess I was sitting here, I support the concept. I support us being able to open up education as freely as we can to allow students to advance as they need it. I'm curious as to whether or not, being that this is high school still, does the junior college then falls under the Choose Act where money can then follow the child if there's a cost at that junior college?
Okay, let me work through that one. We have a school choice child who wants to graduate.
And it's still high school, yes.
And it's still high school. Would the money follow? I'll have to get back to you on that one. That's a good question, though. Senator Hatcher?
I would think if it's a public institution, it probably should.
To the public junior college?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I imagine all the higher ed people out there, that's one of the amendments that'll probably occur, that it would not be limited to junior colleges. It'll probably be expanded to all colleges.
But, Mr.
Go ahead, Senator Hatcher.
Because I did want to make just a brief response to Senator Grinch, because I know he's a brilliant man. Now, clearly we might have to come up with another name for you, Senator Albritton. It can't just simply be Grinch. It's got to be. Good name. It can't just be. Okay, we'll go with that. I like the concept. Here's why I think Governor Zell Miller initially had this idea back in the mid '90s, and what it really sought to do for people who may be a bit confused about this concept of move on when ready, it really is a dual enrollment program on steroids.
Yep.
And so a part of what's happening is gifted programs have always been kind of grounded in traditional academic subject matter, not to include technical and career-focused courses that students would be able to take in such a program as Move On When Ready. So for that reason alone, it means that you have these young people, particularly rising seniors in high school and others, who really do, it's a small number, who do qualify for such programs because they're already beyond so many of the things that may be happening in a fairly pedestrian way in our traditional school settings, which incidentally are having to go back and look at curricula so that they're not finding themselves continuing to do this warehouse approach to education, right? The other piece that I think is good for parents and other people paying for their babies is those first 2 years. Say you have a kid in these programs for 2 years, that means that's going to cut that cost for those parents who are paying freshman and sophomore money at colleges. And we also know that since the mid '90s, college tuition at traditional and public and private colleges is up by 500% or more. So that saves some parents some money when you have a kid who goes and is really into a college program in full. You've got only 2 years that you're paying. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it also lowers the loan amount for students. At least I think that's what happened in the Georgia program. And just last year, because of how famous that program is, I think they had somewhere around 17,000 students throughout the state of Georgia that had enrolled in that program out of their, 22, 24 technical schools. So I think it's a very progressive idea for public education.
Thank you. Senator Smithman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to say this, and this goes to the implementation consideration of it. I'm glad you asked that question, because we can't go into this and open up the Choice Act, and now instead of $100 million, it's going to be $400 million, and we got 157 schools out there who are failing and who needs revenue to come out of failing. And that's my concern, because if the Choice Act can be used for this, then now we're getting ready to expand the people. We are creating the system to expand more people to have their hand into the kitty of the Choice Act. And then we're going to be saying, well, we got all this demand, so we got to come up here and up that ante. Based on what I've seen and been told over the last couple of years or so about that, I hear over here we don't have money. We trying to struggle because we got to get money to do over here. And we done implemented about 3 or 4 new programs taken out of this where we said we don't have money to take care of K through 12 and do these other things like this and do other things. And we ain't doing nothing over there beyond a little basic millage and a little basic foundation money. And so we can't get into no feeding frenzy like we got this unless I'm being told the wrong information. If I'm being told the right information, we can't go over here because then we're going to hinder public education even more by trying to do this to help these folks who want to go do this right here. So I would hope that we have our mind understanding that we don't be so happy with ourselves and full of it that we leave out of here saying that's a great thing, do this here, and ain't paying a bit of attention back in the K through 12 to get that money to these failing schools. And even in our formula that you all are going to ultimately have to pass, either one of those formulas, either one of them, we've still got to do something for K through 12 failing schools to get them back up to the baseline, whether it's the hybrid formula or whether it's the complete new formula, can be able to kick in where they can have an opportunity to stay above. Because otherwise, they're in a hole. We're going to set standards that everybody stay here. They still ain't going to get out the hole unless we put the funds there, a one-time lick for them to get out the hole. In conclusion, I'm going to say just what I've said before. If you got to think you got to figure this out, and I don't know whether Smilman is right, go talk to the governor. Go talk to the governor, because she did it. With that program she had with those millions that she gave to those schools that were failing, every last one of them came off the failing. So ain't no about it. I don't know if it'll work. It works. It's just whether or not you're going to support your public educations or whether you're going to turn your back on them for the glory of a good editorial on something new that we're doing. That's the difference. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. So what's the pleasure of the committee? I'd like to move it out today, and I'm going to work with all the people that don't have hair anymore out there that burned their hair off in the last 12 hours.
Move favorable.
Thank you, Senator Albritton. The second is Senator Roberts. Any other discussion? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton, Senator Butler, Senator Chastain, Senator Figures, Senator Gavan, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Melson, Senator Roberts, Senator Sessions, Senator Singleton, Senator Smitherman,
I have to get it out of committee.
Senator Wagner, Senator Allen, Senator Orr.
All right, 16 ayes, 0 nays. Thank you, committee, and the bill is given a favorable report, and I will meet with all the bald people if you'll get with my trusty assistant as quickly as we can. Call the next bill, please.
Senate Bill 199 by Senator Figures.
Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for putting this bill on the agenda today. This bill, I introduced a bill last year, but it was only for education employees. At the same time, Representative Shavers in the House had introduced a bill for state employees. So it was you, Mr. Chairman, who suggested that we put those two bills together. And this year we did. The governor is supporting this bill. And the difference between that bill, the compromise that we've all come to, is that this would give parental leave to both the mothers for 8 weeks and the fathers for 2 weeks for newborn babies, stillborn babies, women who have had a miscarriage, but it would be confirmed by the healthcare professional that it was not an abortion, and the pregnancy has to be for at least 12 weeks or more. And it also covers moms and dads of adopted children, parents of adopted children. And right now, as I said, it's only for state employees and for education employees. I will have to say that that idea did not come to me last year. And it's amazing that after being here all these years, I have never heard from the education community or the state employees that they didn't have maternity leave. I guess it's something that you just kind of assume is already in place. But while my son, Congressman Shamari Figures, was on the campaign trail last year this is what he heard from the community. And he asked me about it. I said, they don't? And I was surprised. So I said, I will present a bill. So that's how it all came about. I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't initially think of. But as I said, the issue had never come before me. And I'd like to say thank you to all of the senators who signed on as co-sponsors. There are 24 of us who had an opportunity, and there those who some who did not sign on were not here for me to ask. So for those of you who did, I appreciate it. And with that, Mr. Chairman, if there are any questions, I will try to answer.
I got a couple. So Senator Smitherman had his hand up first, and then Senator Gavan after.
I'll yield to Senator Gavan, just if you don't mind, just because I'm gonna ask him.
Senator Gavan.
So you go ahead.
Well, sort of like we just assumed that teachers had workers' comp insurance. So I agree, and I will tell you, I learned the hard way. Not that I've been a teacher, but my wife was when I was in law school and broke as a dog, and we were cut off for 6 weeks. We thought at least get prorated or something, but fortunately we had parents to help us out during that time. But at the appropriate time, I'd like to move for favorable report.
Senator Smitherman.
Thank you. Senator, I heard you throw in the comment about something about verification about abortion or something. Let me say this. Where is it in that bill, and I have to say it that way, not just opinions and comments, but is it in that bill that addresses a miscarriage? Because the reason I say that, because you got some folks at some extreme, oh, that's an abortion, and here's somebody just had a medical miscarriage, and are we allowing them to have this time off also? Because the only thing, I'm not a lady, but I can say this, it ain't a whole lot difference between having a miscarriage and having a child in terms of the body and the health of the lady. So then I think that's in part the reason that we were given the leave along with the child being able to kind of get adjusted. That's why we got the dad 2 weeks, because the mama can't do nothing hardly when she first had that child. So we giving the dad 2 weeks to be there, which we should. But in this situation where there is a miscarriage, will that kick in and allow the same opportunity to have that leave? And if it's not, it should. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator Smitherman. Yes, sir, it is. It is in here. One of the things that we talked about, because in the beginning, miscarriages, they didn't want, there was concern, rather, about miscarriages last year and whether or not they would be an abortion. So we added the language that the pregnancy had to be at least 12 weeks or more when they had the miscarriage, and also that it would be verified by a healthcare professional that it was not an abortion.
What's going to happen if they have it before the 12 weeks and they hemorrhaging and everything else? you're a lady, you know the things. I can't even begin to mention the problems that they would have under 12 weeks. So what's going to happen to them then? I
understand that, and that was a compromise. But if you'd like to bring an amendment, Senator, I'm open for it.
I think we should, and just a matter of if it's under 12 or something, you just get a certification from the
Believe it or not, somebody just told me yesterday, or was it today, that they had a miscarriage at 11 weeks.
Yeah.
So they would have missed. So if you want to bring an amendment, I would consider it a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Chastain, then Senator Sessions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Figures, talking about the teachers, I guess before, they've used sick leave before, right, on maternity leave?
Well, this is for all employees. Yes, they would have to use sick leave and borrow other people's.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask, is there any cost that the local boards of education would incur in this bill?
Let me tell you, everybody has been vetted and has been a part of this bill. Representative Shavers and I have worked very closely, and I want to give a shout out to the governor's staff. They have been really, really diligent and very committed and dedicated to putting this bill together, making sure that everybody was vetted and on board who are the stakeholders in this bill.
But there will be no cost to the local boards of education during this maternity leave?
They're working it out where it will be minimal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Senator Sessions.
Thank you.
I think my question, I think they're covered, but, you know, your bill specifies K-12, public education, and state employees, just making sure our junior college employees are covered.
Well, they didn't go, we were focusing on K-12 because the two-year system is no longer under the State Board of Education. They are a separate entity, just as our four-year schools are. But if you would like to bring an amendment, I'm definitely open to it, Senator.
Okay, they are state employees though, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they are considered state employees, right?
That was my only question.
Well, then they will be called that way.
I second the motion.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Any objection to the previous unanimous roll on the bill? All right, seeing none, 15 ayes, 0 nays. The bill's given a favorable report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
and
you,
members of the
Senator.
committee.
All right. Mr. Massey, if you'll come up, you got 5 minutes. Members got, other places to do. Introduce yourself. He's with the cyber school, and in the budget, there are 2 items that members have had questions about. If he'll explain it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, committee, and I don't think I'll even need the 5 minutes. We have 2 additional line items. One is Excel. That is our outreach program. We have partnered with over a dozen school districts and impacted over 50 schools. Last week, we were in OP. This week, we're going to Winston County tomorrow, and we take our staff and technology, and we go on the road during the school day, and we do cyber camps targeting the middle grades. And that we kind of worked this in under our budget the first couple years, and you guys funded that. We do have in the code that established a school is to create a school, and is to expand cyber studies throughout the state. So with that, I guess I should introduce myself. Matt Massey, president of the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering. We have students from every Senate district in our school in Huntsville, Alabama, and so that's what kind of drew me to the school. It is we have a school, but it's also that statewide impact with that. We're also providing professional development for teachers across the state, and whether it's using AI in their classrooms or developing cyber curriculum that a lot of school districts are trying to do. And we're actually working with the State Department of Education to develop an AI course that's in the course of study, but right now there's nobody teaching that course. So we're providing that curriculum and that teacher training with that. The other line item that we have is the Alabama Cyber Range. We noticed that there are efforts similar in Virginia, in Florida, and Mississippi, and in the Dakotas. Those states are investing about $4 to $8 million a year into developing a lab for that. So a cyber range our cyber range is a world-class cyber training education platform that is a safe environment that we can duplicate and replicate different networks and systems, and basically you can attack and you can defend. We focus on the defense of that to protect those systems, and that is what is needed in every sector with that. So it is basically a secure training environment that models real world networks that our kids and every school district across the state has access to that. We also noticed the need of this in the community college system. And the community colleges were trying to outsource and hire in different range platforms with that. And so we were going to pilot 1 or 2 community colleges with that. That turned into 10 with that. So we've got 10 ACCS schools that are going to be on the platform that you guys funded that started in October for this fiscal year. And we're already talking with our 4-year institutions of the first ones on that. So that's our capabilities that we have. Just want to deliver that report to you, and thank you all for supporting that.
Yeah, so let me just interject. So when the school bill passed back in 2018, okay, we added some statewide mission to them, and that was to do to the teacher trainings throughout the state. And they're going all over the state and doing that. If you want them in your area, let Mr. Massey know. The other thing is this cyber range, which I had no idea what it was, but it's something that you, via the internet, you can enter there and do all this, not gaming, but cyber defense or cyber attacks and model, not gaming in that sense. So anyway, but helps our other K-12 schools to have this capability that's hosted there at the cyber school. It's just one of our 3, almost 4 specialty schools. We got the School of Health Science coming online here in August, and then the other 2 in Mobile and in Birmingham, arts and math and science. So I saw Senator Figures had a question.
Yes.
And before she does it, if you all want more people to come report, I mean, we can get Ms. Scott to come talk about RSA, but we're usually in such a time crunch. I haven't done that to the committee, so I'm just kind of fearful of there being 3 of us left here while somebody that came to present, we got other places we got to be. We're not like the House. The House has more luxury of time. So, Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say this before I ask him a question. I'm not sure if I gave a shout out to the governor and thanked her for her support of SB 199 too. Thank you, Governor. Okay, my question is, would you be able to help the state increase its cyberspace security? Because there are many people who have been and are being victimized by having their funds stolen from them, which I feel it is the state's responsibility.
Yes, we're collaborating with OIT.
Yes, because they keep calling Washington, but it's not their fault. I mean,
Yeah, and there's going to be attacks and penetrations. It's just, can you be resilient and recover from that?
no, but they know it's not secure enough, so.
And it's never going to be. There's always going to be an entry point somebody's going to find. So it is be aware. Where are you vulnerable? Are you monitoring that? And can you be resilient and recovering from that quickly? So you always got to have a backup. You want to be on guard. Every industry is a target.
But there are many. Okay, thank you, Mr.
All right, any other, Senator Smitherman?
I just tell you that I appreciate you bringing them forth, and I think that, the invitation that you gave regarding the other schools that fall into that particular category, I appreciate that. And of course, we'll be bringing some concerns and thoughts to maybe the committee, but definitely to the chairman as it relates to those schools.
Okay. All right. I see them all bugging out. Thank you, Mr. Massey. One last thing about budget before you go. My target is, after our second break, to begin moving it. And I can look around the table and say I've gotten 1.5. I'm sure that this person's going to have more letters from you all on what your needs are. So don't forget that, because when we go on break, I'll start putting the pencil to paper, and we'll have to, it gets harder to find money when you come rushing in, so let's do it early and do it completely. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.